Hey guys, it's Kate. I'm back with an art journal today, and I'm going to be trying a couple of new things. So I hope you'll join me in this video and break out your art journal and scrap paper if you have it on hand, along with whatever art supplies you have. So I'm going to start with this painter's marker, and this is black. It's a fine tip, and I'm just going to start in. I have these pre-painted pages, and I'm going to start in and just start doing some little scribbles, almost like I'm writing in cursive, but it's just gibberish. And I'm going to come up and do several different angles. Maybe do some scribbles, prime it a little bit. These markers have been well loved, so let's do some over here. And I'm going to get some of my edges too. I don't want it to all just be in the page. Maybe some diagonal. So we're going to do homemade stencils today. I have cardstock that I've cut a couple of shapes out of, like this, and we'll be painting with those. I have several colors of acrylic, but you know what? Let's just do first things first. How's that? Okay, one of the things I really wanted to kind of work with today is this iridescent white. So I'm going to put that aside, but we will definitely be breaking into that later to blend some colors. So in the meantime, I'm going to grab a couple of stencils and start putting in some marks and patterns. So I really like that one. I'm just kind of going through my little pile that I've got here. You can never have too many. I think I like the angular ones, and maybe those. I've got some of my go-to favorites that are well loved, and someday I'm gonna do some sort of cow because I've got those spots there. So we'll start with these, and you know what I might do, let me grab my makeup sponge. Okay, I've got my makeup sponge. I've got several colors here. This color palette today is going to be very earthy. I've got burnt sienna and raw umber. I'm sorry, burnt umber and burnt sienna. I've got olive green. I've got some crimson. I've got some yellow ochre and phthalo blue. So this is, I think, my only cool color that I've got, although the burnt umber is a little bit cool as well. So it's very warm, although we'll be working on a cool background. So there should be some pretty nice color contrast going on here today. So I'm going to start, I think, with this one. So I'm going to pick a color that contrasts here. And I think actually what I'm going to do is start off with some of this white gesso. And I'm going to mix that with a little bit of this yellow ochre. And I've got my palette knife to mix it on my plate. Just like that. And I'm going to just get it right onto my sponge. Okay. So we've got some contrast here right away with the white on the dark, or light on dark, I should say. And I'm going to keep on going. So I'm just trying to match it up with my previous pattern that I had down there. And I'm going to bring this right over here to the left. Just like that. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to continue this along. And bring it on down this way just a little bit and up through here. Now I'm going to match it up some more here. And just have this come down a little bit like that. And I'm going to bring it off the page up here. Like that. All right, that looks pretty good to me. Okay, next up, let's do another nice light color. Let's take what we've got here and mix in a little bit of this olive green. It's a new tube, so I gotta take off the little seal. I love breaking into a new tube of paint. It's satisfying, except for when that happens. Let me see if I can get that off. If you get to it fast enough, there's no mistakes. Okay, I'm going to put just a little dab on there and mix that in with my palette knife also. So I get a little bit of that yellow in with the green, and it's not too dark. I'm going to keep it going with that contrast. Okay. Now, since I've got green going, let's go in with this little stencil here. I'm just going to use the same yellow part of my sponge. It doesn't really matter. And I'm going to kind of come up on top of this and follow the same pattern. And let's make those little things face up. Just like that. Okay. Now let me go over some of my already done spots. And this is going to be a little bit of a lighter contrast because red and green are complementary colors. And it's kind of the same tonal value here, so it's going to be a little bit less. But that's okay, because the subtle patterns are really good too. If you're colorblind, it's probably hard to see. Okay, and I'm going to bring it down on this side a little bit with the rest of the paint that I've got in my sponge. Just like that. Okay, now let's go for a nice dark color. I'm going to go for this burnt umber. And I'm going to use this diamond pattern here. And I'm going to start with a little bit and just see how it looks. And again, I'm just using the same part of my sponge again. It doesn't matter. Let's see how that looks. Oh, I love it. Okay. And let's bring in some more over here for the top. And don't forget your page edges. Now I'm going to continue this a bit more right off the corner here. So let me find a good spot. Okay. Nice. Don't you love patterns? And a little hint over there and down here. Great. So now we have a very busy background, which is just what we want. I'm going to let this dry just a little bit and I'm going to come right back to you. Okay, I'm all dry and I'm going to come back in with some more of this burnt umber. And I'm also going to add a little bit of this iridescent white. Just a little. I want to give it some sheen. And I also want to keep it pretty dark. So I'm going to just mix these two together right here on my plate palette. And as you can see, the white is pretty transparent. It is basically just giving a little bit of sheen to this burnt umber. So I'm going to go in with my brush and my little stencil cutout that I have. So I cut this out to kind of look a little bit like mountains or something like that. So I have a couple of different shapes here, and I'm going to start with this one and work my way up. So I've got my brush here. I'm going to go into my paint and I'm just going to use this as a bit of a template. And what I want to do is have the heaviest part of my paint up where the paper line is and have it kind of fade away as it comes down. So I'm going to hold the top of my stencil right here. I'm actually going to start painting at my little template so that I get a nice hard line. And I'm just going to bring my brush straight down, just like that. Get some more paint and just keep going. And I'm just going to keep dragging my brush and let that just fade away with some straight angles. Just like that. Excellent. And how about we add that big mountain on this side. And actually, I might have it like it's coming across. So I'll have it kind of meet up right here and come up this way. just like that. Excellent. Let's see. Maybe we want to add another little group of mountains here. How about, how about we add this one here? Just like that. And again, I'm just coming straight down with the brush. Like that. And maybe one just like that right there. And let's do, this one's pretty dry, so I can give this a little flip and do a big one kind of behind this. Nice. And maybe one right there. What do you think? This one's a little bit dry. I don't like how it has that just one line here. So I'm going to take the small side of this and make another little mountain peak. Right there. I like that much better. Now I have a circle template and I'm gonna put in some little hints of clouds. So what I'm gonna do is mix up another color, and I'm gonna use this phthalo blue, but I'm going to lighten it up with some white gesso, and I'm gonna add quite a bit of that iridescent medium as well. Or not iridescent medium, just iridescent white. And gonna mix all this together. And I love that blue. It's a wonderful, cool blue. Now I'm going to do something similar. I'm going to grab my brush and kind of go up here into these clouds. Just like this. Let's see about adding that there. I'm going to let this dry a little bit again and come right back. Okay, I've got my baby wipe here and a little bit more of that dark phthalo blue, and I'm going to kind of rub some out onto my plate and get my baby wipe covered a bit. Now I'm going to come in here and just kind of do some blotting right around here. Almost like sponge painting. And just add some more contrast and texture there to the top. And I'm going to let this kind of come down into the painting a little bit more. Just like that. I'm just going to keep adding it little by little until I get it where I want it to be. Great. I'm just toning. I like the circles, but they were a little bit too kind of in your face. So I'm going to tone down a couple of their edges. Like that. Nice. And I still have some baby wipe. So I want to add a little bit more down here. And I think I'm going to actually go with some of this plain iridescent white and see how I like it. And add that kind of down in this pink area. Almost like a fog or something coming up through the mountains. And this I'm just going to go pretty light. And I might do just some rubbing as well. Yeah, I like the rubbing better. Nice. Have a little bit more brown in here. Okay. I'm going to dry brush a little bit of this olive green. And I'm going to, I have a little bit on my brush here, but I want to be really light with it. I'm going to actually add some water and mix that in, because I can always add more if I like it. But add just a little bit of green over these mountains. And I like that. What do we think? Okay, I am dried out. I took a little bit of a break because I actually left and had lunch. So I'm back with my painter's marker. And so what I was thinking is kind of in the foreground, imagining that there's just a big tree that's got its limbs spread out, and I'm going to do it like a silhouette. But instead of painting it, I wanted to go in with my marker. And if I can get the lid off, go in and start drawing this tree. So I think I want it to start right here. Okay, and I'm going to have my branch come this way. And they're going to be real scraggly branches. And then I'm going to have it start to come off of there. So that's going to be my basic tree shape. So I'm going to start making my bigger boughs. Just like that. and starting to narrow those down. And I'm going to let some of these go. And come out. Just like that. And start drawing in just basic limb shapes. I don't want to get too carried away before I color it in, but I'm going to have some come up through here, some come here, and let's do my basic shapes like this. And just like that. Okay, and then I'm going to have some coming up here, coming over here. Okay, let's go with that basic shape for now. I'm going to start coloring in. I'm going to speed up this a little bit so that you don't have to watch me color in the whole thing. Okay, so one of the things I did was I tried to keep it thicker here and do my basic things. You want to make sure when you're doing your trees, I mean, you can have limbs going any which way. You know, you keep the basic shape of the tree and your growth pattern, but you can have limbs that come out of here and go down here. You can have limbs that come out of here and go way back over here. You know how trees grow. So the more random you can try to make it, and making it random is really hard because we are not really random people. We try to, our minds like to see patterns and make patterns. So this is a challenge to do, but it's worth it if you take some time and practice. And that's just me. I mean, I really like doing that. So, I do my best to keep it random. So I'm going to go in with my jelly roll and I'm just going to make a few little detail marks just as kind of a highlight, just to add a little bit of definition to this tree. Almost like maybe there's moonlight or something coming from the front. But I just want to add some differentiation in the color because there's not really any there's not many light values in this. So I'm just going to add a little bit of interest. And I'm just going to follow very loosely some of these branches just to give you a hint of some light hitting it here and there. And not being, I mean, they're almost like dotted lines or something. And I'm being very scribbly and not really caring about whether my line is filled in. I just want to give that hint of highlight. Just like that. And I'll kind of look, I missed a couple of areas over here. If there's anything with just big spots with nothing, I'll just kind of fill in a couple little marks. I have a little bit of blackness over there, but I think this pretty much does it. Maybe just a little bit more on this trunk. There we go. What do you think? And I've got a bit of a cloudy mountain theme going on with kind of a funky sky. I really actually like this a lot, and it's different than what I normally do, but I really love playing around with the colors and shapes and stuff and playing with homemade stencils. You can make some really cool textures easily using things like this, and I would highly encourage anybody just play around, cut out some shapes and see, play with them with paint. And you don't have to buy stencils. If you want to, you can, but you can just as easily take an X-Acto knife and cut some shapes out of some cardstock, and it's your own thing. So that works really well. But I think I'm going to call this good. I really love this journal page, and I don't want to do anything else to it. I like all the colors. I like the sheen, the shimmer from that iridescent paint. And I'm going to take out my protective sheets and do a close-up so that you can see that shimmer in the light. And it's just, it's kind of subtle, but also the whole thing just kind of has a nice little shine. And I really love how this turned out. So let me get a little bit more of a close-up. You can see those scraggly branches there and the white marks for the tree in the trunk. You can still see some of my pattern coming through from the background, the different stencils that I used, and also that scribbling, which I think looks kind of nice. And then the sky, which I liked kind of toning down those circles a bit, but leaving a bit of a hint of the shapes there so that you can still see it. But all in all, I think this turned out really nicely, and I hope that you joined along with me today to do some journaling and some creative things, whether it's paint or drawing or whatever it is that you like to do. I hope that you enjoy spending time with me on these videos. And thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep creating.